Thank you, everyone. Hopefully everyone had a great lunch. A little bit about me. I'm VP of Digital and Consumer Technology at Subway. I've been in the restaurant tech space for 2 decades now. I've done Domino's, Subway, Cracker Barrel, Outback, but everything in between. Had a lot of fun. I'm a technologist first, restaurateur second, so that's kind of what I bring to the equation. And we're going to talk about building blocks, people at the heart of your strategy, how to execute it, how to bring it to life, and really the Subway transformation story. Not only is it a transformation for the brand, but tech we've had to keep along with all the changes we've done as a brand. And really it comes down, in my opinion, when you're building a digital transformation strategy around the 3 building blocks. And the first, and it's the foundation of everything you do, is around people. If you don't think about people, you'll never get the rest of the way. The next thing is around process, because that's how you bring the people and the experience to life. And last but not least is technology. If you've not done the other pieces up front, that's why I thought it was really interesting that me and the other Hooper that started our day, we had very much of this very similar mental map, even though I come from the world from a technology standpoint. If you don't do those first, the technology becomes irrelevant. So really the first thing to think about is people first at the start of your strategy. And the person that's most important in that is the consumer. We as a brand, we entirely rely on franchisees, but our end consumer, if we don't do great with them, then our franchisees don't make money, then we don't make money. And the challenge with customers is they are not going to judge you by your peers or other restaurants. They're going to judge you by the digital experiences they have every day in their lives, which means the Amazons, the Starbucks, those experiences where they're really well funded, really well done, years of experience. People just don't, they expect the same everywhere they go. And really you need to think about and understand your consumer. What brands do they deal with on a regular basis? Those are the brands they're going to compare about. Those are also the brands that they're going to have kind of their digital mental maps as you look to build experiences for those guests. How do you match up against your competitors? How do you fit with brands that they love every day? And are you listening to the signals that your consumers are giving you? Social media feedback, surveys, posts. Listen to all of those things. You may not have money to do some of the market research some of us bigger brands do, but using the intelligence that's available to you, listening, looking for what your customers are telling you is incredibly insightful. And one of the things, there's lots of partners here that'll help you around loyalty. How are you rewarding those people for doing business with you and your brand? And not only does that customer get great value for your brand, you get to drive incremental profitable behavior of those people, and it creates a virtuous circle. And one of the things that we're all suffering from is as third-party data through privacy becomes less available, the more we know about our guests, the more powerful that's going to be over time. The next group that you really have to think about are your employees and making it easy for them to delight guests. You need to understand your employees. The different brands I've been in have wildly demographics of employees. At Subway we have a lot of very young, frontline, kids out of high school that are running as sandwich artists, but our franchisees are an older group of people. So we have to keep that in mind. And there's pluses and minuses to both. Like Cracker Barrel, we had some much older employee staff, but they were tenured, they were knowledgeable, like they knew the business really well. And so you need to think about how these experiences get put together, because we can build beautiful digital properties, and if the actual product that comes out the other end is garbage, all you've done is you've just made the disappointment that much worse. So you really need to think about your employees and what challenges and gaps do you have in your current process. You need to understand that, and how do you train employees is a real big part of that. So I'm talking about digital transformation, but if you haven't trained the employees, then they can't deliver a great experience. One of the leading complaints we have in the industry is around order accuracy. It has nothing to do with technology directly. It's making sure the right stuff ends up in the bag. And the most important thing, and I want you to take this with you, if you have not worked in your restaurants lately, take time out of your schedule and go do it. There is nothing like understanding the pain of your employees as doing it yourself. That's what I did week one when I started at Subway about 1.5 years ago. And let me tell you, I have the greatest of respect for what our sandwiches artists do, especially when you have a guest in line and they're like, well, I want that and have that. And this, it's a lot of stress to perform. And now I understand and appreciate that as we look to build those journeys for our employees. And with that, digital is a team sport. So if everyone doesn't believe, you're going to run into a lot of challenges. And the first group you've got to win over are your actual in-store managers and operators. They need to believe because they have to execute to deliver the actual experience part of digital. Your franchisees need to understand how this grows their business, how it drives value for them, and why they should invest the time and, most importantly, the money that we're going to ask them to invest to deliver a really great experience. You're going to need your operations teams to be ready and successful and to believe so that they spend the time and effort in their very limited amount of things they're trying to do, because they're trying to have better quality, they're trying to have better guest experience, they're trying to drive profitability, they're trying to drive LTOs. They got a lot of different things on their plate. If you want digital transformation to be part of that, you need to give them a reason of why it's going to move the business. And the last group is your marketing group. Fortunately, if you're a small enough brand, you may be both digital and marketing, which is the great thing is you can control that message. In my case, we're big enough that I have to go convince people to be part of this. And even though at Subway, as you've, I'm sure, all seen our ads and things, we have as much ad dollars as some small countries. But I still have to create a reason for my CMO to believe that it's worth driving digital specifically when she has so many other messages and agendas she's trying to drive as a brand. And we've had to work to earn that ability to do that, because that was not always the case, as I'll talk about a little bit in our journey. And this is one of the things that I think is the secret sauce in every place that I've done digital transformation, is find yourself a partner, regardless of what size organization you are. Because there is a partner that is the right size for everyone. If you're a small local brand, go find a small local agency that's worked with some other small brands. If you're a mid-sized brand, there's some great people. When I was at Cracker Barrel with Sage Path, which is a great group out of Georgia. And when you get bigger, then there's great folks like PwC, CAP, and several other. And the nice thing that you get out of that is they do this every day. And hopefully, if you do it well, you're not doing a digital transformation every day. So you can learn the lessons that they've learned from their clients, and they can bring that to the party. The other thing they can do is they can afford to hire specialists that even a brand like us, it doesn't make sense for us to have those people on staff. But you get access to their brains, their knowledge, and their experience. And that way you can learn lessons that others have without having experienced the pain of that. And then really it's all about bringing all of those people together in a productive way, and that's where process comes together. So that's where we take these people and we bring them to the actual activity we're doing. And the first thing you need to do is you need to map and understand the consumer journey of how your consumer is going to go from considering you to getting something delicious and wonderful at home, work, at the plate that they want. And this is really one of the first places you need to start on that journey, is because that's going to give you the understanding, it's going to give you the chance to iterate. It's also going to let you think about how is conversion going to work? How are you going to get guest feedback? Where in the funnel might these people drop off? And this, if you don't have experience in this place, depending upon your level of maturity as an organization, this is a great place where the partners can really help. And one of the big things you're going to get from your partners is they bring established processes with them. I famously had a partner who was like, 2-week seminar activity for our discovery and planning, cost a small fortune. And they were like, we're going to do 2 months worth of discovery in 2 weeks. And I was like, sure you are. I've done this a long time. I don't believe you. I was converted. And that's because they had done it so many times with so many other people that they had processes in place that they took us in a very orchestrated way to get us to bring our ideas to the table. And they had very clever people by dark of night turning those inputs into things that drove the next day's activities. So really get to understand those journeys for your customers. And the next thing that's just as important is to create matching journeys for your employees so that you can put the two together. Understand how your employees are going to actually deliver the experience that you've imagined on your user side. And with that, try to make it where employees fall into success. Make the right answer the easy answer, because if the process is hard and you have to swim upstream, it just means that it's going to create friction that you're never going to get the experiences that you want. And that's one of the things that we're always looking at. How do we make it easier for sandwich artists to be able to deliver an experience? Because the nice thing about Subway is it's a beautiful, simple business. The downside is we also have, lots of turnover just like everyone else in the space. So we want to give those new sandwich artists the tools to be able to deliver as great of an experience as a 20-year franchisee could do. And with that, we finally get to technology. So we've talked about people, we've talked about processes, and we're just now getting to technology. I'm the technologist. And really, it's about prioritizing your investments based off of impact. The first thing you got to do is you've got to have your point of sale and your in-store execution technologies solid enough that you can deliver those experiences for employees. Because if you can't, then you're wasting your money on digital because you're going to send people into a hole. And then you're going to look at your e-commerce and your third party. Third party is easy to activate, but remember, those are frenemies. There are people that you want to compete with in the marketplace. When people go to those marketplaces for food and they're hungry, you want them to come to your properties when they're hungry for you. That way you avoid the commissions and you build that direct relationship. And those two, if you've purchased the right APIs and technologies, you can gather that data, build loyalty. That will give you both the information and also the privacy opt-in to start activating direct messaging. And then the top of the pie is personalization, because that's bringing all the pieces together. And if you don't get the basics right and start from the bottom, it's actually very dangerous, because what you can do is you can very effectively drive people to a horrible experience and they'll never come back. So that's why you got to start from the bottom and build up to be successful. And when you're looking at technology, here are 3 things that I really want you to think about is find technology solutions that do several things well and integrate with other pieces and parts. Find technology that's API enabled, because that's going to A, make that first part easier. And secondly, as you get more mature and bigger, you may want to actually take on building the front end experiences with that. So you can create a unique experience for you. And even if you use an agency partner, it makes it much easier for them to build on top of that. In fact, a lot of the major, especially in the casual dining space, brands that you deal with and have beautiful websites, I can tell you who their providers are under the covers, because they're doing the front ends and they're letting people who many of you would know are doing that on the back end, including their 3PD integration. And choose proven providers. Digital, we've been around for a while now, and folks in this space have gotten big, successful, and they're going to be able to be with you, and they're going to bring experience from other customers, along with just their years of operating is going to give you a reliable, great guest experience. Because it can be beautiful, but if it's broken or inconsistent, it doesn't do you any good. Here are things to avoid and be careful about. Beware of chasing best of breed. Whenever the first CIO that I had at Bloomin' was a man who loved the best of breed, with the dream of integration. We're going to integrate all these pieces. My very first job was integration manager. I spent my entire time going, why is this integration broken? Why is data not flowing here? It was horrible. So don't do that to yourself. Pick platforms and partners that work together and let them worry about it. Be careful with startups. There's always the temptation because they always have the sexy brochure and the innovation. And don't trust your digital future to amateurs. Like, the places and paths that you're going to get the most value out of are proven paths. And don't chase buzzwords. So Subway, got a lot of money, a lot of power, a lot of knowledge. You know what we're doing with AI? Right now we're relying on partners and platforms that it's built into, as opposed to us trying to do that. We've got other things that we're trying to do. I'm trying to take our digital properties globally. So my big value is actually there, and I'm letting them chase AI, and I'll get the advantage of it. And with that, here's kind of my idea of how you scale as an organization based off of your size and as you grow. If you're a franchisee, do the technology your brand has and do it well, and try not to flirt with other things. Do not think you are smarter than your franchise folks. They pay us a lot of money to deliver a lot of value for you, and if you do that well and take advantage of the model that the franchisor has given you, you will be very successful. So a lot of people are like, oh, I want to dabble in this way. Just do the things we do and do it well, because I've never seen the people who want to dabble do it well. If you're a smaller organization, get platforms that work well together, that have APIs under them, and leverage creative teams to really bring your brand into the experience that's out of the box, the white label solution. Local brand that we had when I lived in Tennessee, Slim Chickens, did a fabulous job of conveying their brand in what I knew was a white label product. Like, I knew the white label vendor because I just, from seeing it enough times, but they did such a good job of making their brand language be part of it, and they just did a phenomenal job on the process delivery, like hands down. And then when you get to be a bigger organization, you can take advantage of those APIs on those, stop using the white label piece, and have either your own team or a partner or creative team build a brand unique experience. This is where a lot of people play, very successful. That's how we did it at Cracker Barrel. And then when you get to the McDonald's, the Subways of the world, we have enough folks that we can do not only strategically, but drive economies of scale. Like, we're unique and then we have our own point of sale. I wouldn't recommend that to practically anybody, but we have enough locations that we can make it worth our while from a business perspective, and we can create really simplified for Subway experiences that those sandwich artists can actually deliver better. But we leverage APIs and we leverage commercial platforms to even do those things because we don't want to even go it alone. With that, this pyramid is an iterative approach. So you're going to, once you get good enough at the next piece, you're going to move up. Eventually, you will get to a point where when you're at that top, it's time to reevaluate and see what's next for you. And this is kind of a sample roadmap that you lay that on your 3-year roadmap. And if you look, at first year, you start on that green, you start working your way up, and then you reevaluate and start working your way more and more advanced capabilities as you grow. And really, that kind of brings us to Subway's story. When we started on this journey, first thing we had was a very broken experience. So one of those, we had given our digital properties to, instead of using it as a partner, we kind of handed it to someone, and they did a lovely job of charging us money and less good at delivering a great guest experience. We also, our underpinning foundations for e-commerce could not scale in such a way that our CMO was actually kind of frightened to drive things to digital because something might go ka-tunk. And we really, third party, the slide that you saw this morning of all the tablets, that was kind of where we were. It was hard for franchisees to use. It was hard to really actually make third party work. And a lot of things that guests came to expect, curbside delivery, we didn't offer. So it seemed like it was time for a refresh. So just like we refreshed the brand, we also refreshed our digital technology. And digital is actually one of our 5 core strategies as a company called Digital Resolution. Within that, we have 4 core subsets of that, which is our guest journey, our off-premises business, loyalty, personalization, and gift card, because those all, a lot of data sharing, a lot of pieces to that. And then payment modernization, making the payment experience convenient, fast, both in-store and online. Come on. This is not the world's fastest clicker sometimes. Come on, clicker, you can do it. There we go. And where do we start? We listened to people to make that strategy work. We listened and learned and researched our customers. And yes, we can hire exciting firms who tell us all sorts of insights, like the wonderful folks at McDonald's are about. But you can actually, even if you're a small operator, you can ask your guests, you can talk to your customers. You can do surveys, you can do simple things to get to know what's important to those guests and what digital things are meaningful that they use today that you can model after. Because the truth of the matter is we all blatantly steal experiences from each other. Comically, one of my favorite people that we stole a lot of for Cracker Barrel was from Taco Bell, so don't tell anyone. Because we had a lot of products and a lot of configuration in the Cracker Barrel model. It's a weird little fun brand. And the way that they did configuration actually worked really well for us. Your store teams, you need to make sure they're trained. They need to understand how to bring that digital experience to life. You've got to build that coalition, the one that I talked about earlier, get the corporate teams involved. So we got them understanding, we're getting ready to do some refreshes of things. And we brought the ops people in day one. In fact, we do a large planning for our technology. One of the key people that are there every time is our main ops team people, because they give us insight into how we're going to work next. And then we chose a really great partner that has a lot of experience in the QSR space that help us bring that to life. So we got all the people involved, and then we did a roadmap that unlocked that. And in our case, point of sale was actually a place that we actually felt good about, some of our better experiences. We rebuilt our e-commerce on an API approach that then gave us that problem that we had where, if we drove too much traffic, things fell over. No longer the case. Then we used those integrations to work with our 3PD partners. We built a brand new mobile experience, consumer-driven insights from that. We launched curbside. We launched Subway delivery through a third-party partner. We relaunched catering as experience. We merged our web and e-commerce into a single experience, drove increased conversion. We decided to dabble in the subscription base with footlong pass. And then one of the big pain points after we started getting all this going from guests were, you advertise promotion, my franchisee doesn't opt in, because we can't drive that as a franchisee. So what we did is we now make it where if you see a promotion, when you click to start an order, it takes you to locations, participating locations. So we kind of nudge stores to participate because they stop appearing in location search. It's part of us being able to solve a pain point and encourage adoption in the way that we want. And we feel really good about where we've gotten. And so now we're looking at taking our North American experience and taking that globally to our major markets. We're actually, as part of that, now this is part of us going back to the bottom of the pyramid and looking again, is we're bringing a new gift card platform online next week. That was actually done by our supply chain cooperative, so we brought it now to the Subway side of the house, so we can get data and insights around that. And we continue to refresh and go back to the bottom of the pyramid, back up as we get more capable. And for us, we're going to be doing a lot into the data space as we've gotten more capable and more streams. With that, we've earned some really strong results. We've had strong sales. I've actually broken my digital sales record twice this year. I'm hoping to do it a couple more times. We've had strong third-party sales and participation, strong conversion growth. We had our largest month of downloads in February. We did a BOGO. We were behind Starbucks and McDonald's, so we felt pretty good about that. We've had a great improvement in consumer satisfaction. And we're now ready to take this show on the road globally. In fact, as a matter of fact, I'll be in one of our regions next week learning more about their business so that we can take what we have and bring the best of that Subway to life. And with that, I appreciate all of you listening to our rambling and our story. Hopefully there's some pieces that are helpful regardless of your size, and I appreciate you all very much. And if there's any questions in the last couple of minutes, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just curious, we kind of talked about it at our table earlier, but whenever you're going through change management, you're always going to have a few people who are a little bit resistant. They have feet stuck in the mud. What are some of your approaches that you use on a franchisee basis or in corporate to kind of bring people onto your side and get that momentum?
Sure. One of the first things we do is listen. Even someone who is your biggest detractor, if you dig through all of the stuff that you're like, you're being negative, you will find nuggets of truth. Take those nuggets of truth, accept them, and be honest. Go, I hear what you're saying, and here's how we're going to do that, and I need your help in this. That's part of bringing people into the coalition. And over time, by that listening, even people who are skeptical will start to get on board. And you're going to have a small group of detractors that are just never going to get on board. And that's where you have to kind of build guardrails to help drive those people at least in the right direction. So that's a great example of us doing what we call shop promotions, where if you come in on a promotion, because as a customer I want that promotion, we're going to show you restaurants that are doing that. And if you choose not to participate, that's your right as a business owner, but you're going to see an impact. And that's part of us, kind of the belts and suspender. We try the positive way, and then we have the other way that we help drive people forward as a team.
No, one more question on the right.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, what kind of personalization experiences have been successful at
So for us, we're actually, I call it, that's an area that we're actually very new in. So we've done some things around where we look at guest purchases of product and how we pick those things up in our messaging for that specific consumer. But just like I said, to be very honest, that's an area where even us as a large brand, we need to make improvements in. And so that's where we're kind of investing next. Because a lot of what we've done, and it's part of the advantage of us having large ad dollars, we've been very broad message as a company. And that's the thing that we're looking to be more targeted and more specific, especially as the price of mass marketing and the effectiveness, the price goes up and the effectiveness goes down. So definitely an area that we've got room for improvement.
Bryan, I think we got one more.
Yeah.
So with the change to digital and pushing third party, what percentage of sales now online digital ordering, and how much did in-shop or in-store sales drop when you switched to third party or digital?
So I can't tell you exact percentages. I will tell you that we've gone up substantially from where we were originally. Like it was a very small percentage to enough that we can meaningfully drive top line sales when we change things. Still have more room to go and grow. It has actually been for us highly incremental. So digital has been a case where especially third parties have brought in new consumers or new people who weren't considering us. Especially if you look at us, we're very much historically a very lunch-driven occasion. They actually help us in the late evening where people have come home, they're hungry, they're tired, that they would not have thought about Subway otherwise, because one of our big advantages of brand is we're so ubiquitous that it's convenient for lunch. It's helped drive the incrementality of dinner for us. So, it is a meaningful part of our business. I slightly outtrack them from the e-commerce side, so our own properties versus our 3PD partners. But it would be, if we were to stop doing 3PD, it would be a meaningful loss to the business.
Bryan, when you are doing the transformation, store manager or franchisee staff, who are you talking to?
So we actually have to talk to both. So the franchisee, we really need them to buy in because they're the ones who are going to direct their store people of what's important. And also a lot of what we do from a marketing standpoint of driving digital adoption is through promotion. So we need them to believe and participate because they control pricing, they can control participation. But we also need the actual store employees to actually deliver the experience really well. Because otherwise, like I can build the best digital experiences, we can have the best marketing, we drive people into a hole when they get there and their sandwich is wrong. I famously, personally ended up with a turkey sandwich that literally contained lettuce and tomato. It was one of the saddest experiences ever. Because we all We all have days where people just don't quite bring it together. It's nature of humanity. So I've even experienced it firsthand in our own brand. So, it's one of those I appreciate when I get my order wrong. I was like, oh, they tried. So hopefully that helps.
Formative session here.
Thank you all for having me.